For Telesur, I'm Cody Weddle in Caracas. Heading into the end of the 72-hour ceasefire between Israel and Palestinian leadership in Gaza, the two sides have yet to reach an agreement ensuring a lasting truce. Hamas has demanded a limiting of the Israeli blockade on Gaza, as well as a release of political prisoners in Israeli jails. Israel is demanding the disarming of Palestinian forces. This has been the longest truce since Israel's Gaza attack began back on July 8th. According to the UN, Israel's Operation Protective Edge has killed almost 1,900 Palestinians, 408 of them children.
Humanitarian affairs.
The UN Security Council met once again to review the situation in Gaza. Palestine's ambassador to the UN, Riyad Mansour, blasted Israel for what he called the massacre and maiming of children and women, as well as the destruction of homes and infrastructure. Mansour has asked the Security Council to condemn Israel's attack on Gaza.
With massive health, social, economic.
As the latest truce nears its end and anxieties rise once again for Gazans, we go to our Gaza correspondent, Noor Harazin.
These are such sensitive and precious hours for the people of Gaza. The last hours of the 72-hour ceasefire. You can walk in the streets of Gaza and see the people lining up in front of banks and bakeries and shops, trying to get as much food and supplies and water as they can, because they fear that tomorrow might not be such peaceful, such calm day in Gaza. They are fearing that violation is going to happen and escalation is going to happen, or either Israel and the Palestinian political parties are not going to agree on a new truce. So the people of Gaza, I can say that right now they are getting ready for the continuation of the Israeli operation on Gaza tomorrow.
Russia has responded to sanctions imposed by the United States and the European Union, striking back with its own restrictions on products from Europe and North America. Today, Russian Prime Minister Dmitry Medvedev released the list of banned goods as part of the country's 2015 economic strategy and budget. The ban, which will be in effect for 1 year, will impact producers from the U.S., EU, Australia, Canada, and Norway. Russian authorities also signaled the possibility of banning European airlines from flying over Siberia on their way to Asia.
Политические инструменты давления на экономику.
Goods affected will include fresh, chilled, frozen, and processed beef, pork, poultry, seafood, dairy products such as milk and cheese, fruit and vegetables, as well as nuts. Russia plans to lean more heavily on imports from Latin America and other nations to compensate and not affect its producers or consumers. And to Latin America now. President Juan Manuel Santos will be sworn in today as Colombian head of state for a second four-year term. The ceremony will be attended by dignitaries from some 73 countries, including the presidents of Venezuela, Argentina, Ecuador, Panama, and Peru. Santos won the June elections with some 60% of the vote, which has been seen as a vote of confidence for the peace talks he is holding with Colombia's guerrillas. Chilean students are once again taking to the streets, demanding that President Michelle Bachelet make good on her promises to reform the country's education system. The students want an increase in the quality of higher education and for tuition fees to be scrapped, a move that is opposed by conservative forces in her government. The students are planning protests for August 21st. The Gaylor Foundation has awarded the Nelson Mandela Prize to the Cuban Five. The award was handed to Fernando Gonzalez and Rene Gonzalez, two of the 5 Cubans who were imprisoned in the U.S. They were accused of infiltrating terrorist cells that were planning attacks on the island. The 3 others remain in U.S. prisons. The U.S.-based foundation gives the award to those who best exemplify Nelson Mandela's legacy of struggle for justice. In Liberia, a state of emergency has been declared due to the deadly Ebola epidemic that has killed nearly 1,000 people in West Africa. President Ellen Johnson Sirleaf will use the Army to quarantine the areas of the country worst affected. The restriction of civil liberties will be reviewed in 90 days. At the end of the summit with African leaders in Washington, U.S. President Barack Obama said it's too early to begin using an experimental drug against the virus.
Indeed.
As UN world leaders continue to express concern over Ukraine and its worsening economic situation, Ukrainians in the country's east continue to leave their homes under intensifying Ukrainian army attacks. More than 800,000 have sought refuge in Russia. Today, protesters scuffled with city workers and police in Kiev as authorities attempted to clear Maidan Square.
Rules of procedure. I invite
the ongoing efforts to find.
Yesterday marked the 45th anniversary of the so-called soccer war between El Salvador and Honduras. The conflict led to more than 2,000 deaths in 4 days. Here's our Central America correspondent Gerardo Torres.
The 1969 war between Honduras and El Salvador is known as the Football War because the conflict coincided with qualifying games between the two countries for the Soccer World Cup of Mexico in 1970. For historians, the conflict had nothing to do with the result of the match, but was motivated because of economic and military needs of both countries' business class.
Deciden retirarse del Mercosur, eso genera una tensión.
Honduras withdrew from Mercosur, and that produced tensions. Those worsened when the Honduran government expelled 300,000 Salvadorians to open up jobs for Hondurans during the agrarian crisis.
Expulsar a los salvadoreños, los 300,000 salvadoreños que viven en territorio hondureño.
45 years since the war, the military forces and political movements in Honduras insist that the relationships with El Salvador have never been better. The current generation appears to have overcome the strong nationalism built up in those days.
Nos ha servido como países.
It has served to bring both countries closer, because we are brother countries, the closest ones in the region. We talk almost the same way, and so it's not to either of our benefit.
Nuestro mismo idioma, casi hablamos de la misma manera. No conviene que nos estemos peleando.
Polish reporter Richard Kampusinski was working in Central America when he baptized the conflict as the Football War. Sport in the region is an escape for many social problems, not the reason for a confrontation between brother countries. Gerardo Torres, Telesur, Central America.
We have more on those and other stories at our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Cody Weddle.